Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk to you a little bit about your shadow self and where you really need to focus your attention to do the work in order to improve. This really kind of stemmed from uh, walking through Barnes & Noble at one time and looking at all of the self-help books and, just kind of thinking about all the information that they put out there that many people try
They
to
eat
soak
the
up.
self-help books up.
Yeah,
People do.
they soak up all this information, but thinking that just knowing the information is going to cause change in their lives, without realizing that it takes a lot of effort and work to actually implement that change. And so it's not going to be entirely necessary to use self-help books to improve, because all you really need to do is get to know your shadow self better and work on bringing that up. So what is the shadow self?
It's the part of ourself that we reject. Usually traits in other people that we find disgusting, right? Like, say, if you're constantly getting pissed off because someone is stupid, it's most likely it's most likely because you can't accept ignorance in yourself. It has nothing to do with the other person being dumb, right?
Yeah.
Dark Side of the Light Chasers is like my favorite starter book on shadow selves. I mean, Freud goes into it and all the major psychologists, but that's my favorite one to get to know your shadow self a little better.
Yeah. Basically it's so what you described, where if you get irritated at people that you perceive as being dumb, it's because you don't accept ignorance in yourself.
Exactly.
And you can kind of just do a little tally yourself to see, like, what is it that sets you off. And
we all have triggers. Our triggers are entries into this world.
yeah. And so that's really a good place to start to get an idea of what parts of you need to focus on and work on to improve.
Tough
So
boys and tough girls are usually it's usually an ego defense mechanism for to protect like your weaknesses. Like if someone acts like a badass, it's usually because they felt weak at some point. That's why a lot of people in the lifting community, they were drawn to it by trauma initially, and lifting and becoming strong made them have a sense of control over their lives, right? And so it also teaches us empathy when we understand our shadow self a little more, because people that like get pissed off at things like that, like, you're being an asshole. Well, why are they being an asshole? Maybe they don't feel safe. And so they're putting up this wall to protect.
yeah, I can, once you understand that people being upset at you is usually an indication that you're doing something they wouldn't accept in themselves, as rational or irrational as it would be, it can help give you a lot more empathy for it, for that person. You realize that they aren't really hating on you, they're hating on themselves.
Yeah, which thereby leads to more self-compassion and less shame and self-judgment cycles. So the whole idea behind doing shadow work is so you can get rid of the shame cycles that lead us to self-destruct even more. It's a vicious cycle, and the only way to fix it is by going deep and fixing these things. And so you don't really need a bunch of self-help books to push you in that direction, right?
Yeah, you just need to get more familiar with your shadow self and start to be more understanding of where those things, those judgments that you cast, where they come from. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Nope, not now.
Okay, well, if you found this information helpful, then awesome. That's what we're trying to do. And if you know anyone who you think this information would benefit, then share the video with them.
Bye.
Thanks.